Let's get it, everybody. Let's get it. So, what are the risks to wholesaling real estate, as a lot of you may be wondering and are very concerned about jumping into the business model? Or are you one of those people that are excited to get into it, but you're afraid to get started because you are afraid that you might run into some legal issues or whatever it may be holding you back from starting out this business? Hey, what's going on, everyone? Devin Knupp here with another video, provide massive value and fire content, like always. And so in today's video, I'm going to be covering about the risks that are associated with jumping inside of wholesaling. So I'm going to be uncovering everything behind the curtains and showing you everything, or I guess telling you everything that is wrong with wholesaling and how you could potentially mess up and lose money or get into legal trouble and so on and so forth. Okay, so let me give you guys a little bit of a legal disclaimer first of all, and then I'm going to show you guys my experience with the wholesaling and the legal advice that I have, but I'm not giving you guys legal advice. I'm just giving you guys my personal opinion on what's going on. So anyways, I'm not an attorney or anything like that. I'm not giving you guys legal advice. But at the end of the day, I'm just trying to give you guys advice as to what I've seen, and you may want to talk to a local attorney to figure out exactly what you can and cannot do inside of your state. So one of the biggest questions that I get all the time is, am I going to go to jail for wholesaling houses if I do something wrong? And so as far as you're not scamming people, then you're not going to go to jail. If you do something wrong, you make a mistake inside of your state, and the Realtors Commission catches you for doing it, then the worst that I've ever seen was that you get like a fine. Usually it's like a $10,000 fine. But as long as you're just doing everything correctly inside of your own state and you don't run into any problems, that's the worst that can really happen. You may get a bigger fine or a smaller fine. It just really depends on the state, as every word is different. So I can't really give you a 100% answer on that one. But you're not going to go to jail for doing this business. And chances are you really only get fined if after you've done the deal and someone says, hey, I don't like how this person did it, and they report it to the Realtors Commission, which I've never personally seen a story like that. I have heard of rumors of people getting in trouble, so on and so forth out there, but it's very, very rare, and I've never seen it personally. For my experience of talking to all these people wholesaling and all these people doing deals out there and people getting started, so I've never seen that to be a problem. So now the second question is, usually when it comes to the contracts, this is where I guess all the risk comes into the business. But at the end of the day, it's not really a risk factor. And so the only thing that you can lose if you are to fail on a contract, let's say that you are out of the contingencies, you don't have any contingencies on your contract, and you back out, the worst that you can lose is whatever earnest money that you deposit. And if you're a smart wholesaler, or you're good at negotiation, or you do it right and they're a motivated seller, we usually get less than $100 in earnest money on the deal. And that is really all that you can lose, is whatever earnest money that you put down on the deal. And if you don't know what earnest money is quite simply the money that you put down binding the contract saying that you're going to purchase the property. You have to give something. You can give a penny if you want. You can give a dollar bill. You can buy a house for $1. A lot of people usually want a couple $100, maybe $1,000. But if you really bring it down, you can get it down to $1. Just be like, hey, in order for this contract to be binding, I have to give you something. Here's $1. Or you can give them a shoe, a paper clip. I don't know. You have to give them something. That's how it works. It depends on the state, obviously. But at the end of the day, you just have to give them something in order for the contract to be binding. And so usually if it's more than $100, then I give it to the title company and I'll let them handle it, or the closing attorney, whatever state you are in. And I let them handle it. I just put it in the contract that the money is going to the title company. They're going to handle everything. So that way, if I end up having to cancel the contract based off the contingencies, I can get my money back. So that is another point. As long as you are inside of the contingencies on your contract, you can get your earnest money back. Like I said, I don't know 100% sure inside of your state if it's exactly the same, but that's how it works in most places. So you really don't have to worry. But if it's $50 and I'm about to, if I have to cancel a contract, then I just let the seller keep the money or whatever. I'm not really worried about $50. I'm just worried about making a lot of money. So one of the other biggest risk aspects that a lot of people feel is that we are brokering the property. And if you're brokering the property without a license, then that is illegal, which is 100% true. But wholesaling is kind of like a loophole in the system in a sense. So what we are doing is we are getting the property under contract for whatever dollar price it may be. So like, let's say we get a property under contract for $60,000, and then what we're doing is we're selling the piece of paper, the contract. Maybe here I got a piece of paper. You're selling the piece of paper saying like, hey, we got it signed up for this price, and it's selling to whoever it may be. In my case, it would be my LLC's name, and it would say that I get the rights to purchasing the property at this price. And then what I usually like to do is have like the feature of allowing to assign the contract. And so you may not be able to do this in every state. If you can't assign it, there is what's called double closing. I'll cover that in a second. But what we're doing is we're physically just selling the contract. That's it. We're just selling the contract. We're not selling the house. We're not marketing the house. We're marketing the contract that we got it for. Basically, we just say, hey, we got a good deal and we want to sell this off. This works for just about anything that you buy, in a sense, as long as it's like on a purchase agreement and you have like an escrow period or whatever it may be. Like they do this for cars. Like I've heard stories of like a guy that filled out an application saying he was going to buy a Bugatti Veyron before they came out, and he obviously didn't have the money to buy it, but he sold the contract for $100,000 to someone that wanted to buy the car for like 1.2 million or whatever, or 1.4 million that they came out with, because there was only so many people that got the Bugatti Veyron. And so the same exact thing goes for these houses. We're just finding a good property, a discounted property, and we're just selling the rights to this discounted property because we don't personally have the cash to flip it. So what we're going to do is we're going to hand this over to someone that does have cash, or we can just be like, hey, I don't want to deal with this property. I really don't want to fix it up. I changed my mind or whatever it may be. You can have whatever excuse you want for you to not want this property. And at the end of the day, you can just pass it on to someone else. Just be like, hey, here you go. Here's a good deal. This is what's going on with the property. I got the rights to buying it. I get to close in like 20 days or 10 days or 5 days, whatever the closing date may be. Hand it over and just be like, here, I'll sell this to you, this awesome, amazing deal for like $10,000. And from there, you can make another like $20,000, $30,000 on top of it after fixing it up. Or you have $30,000 of equity instantly when you purchase the property. So that way you can turn it into like a buy and hold and lease it out and have tenants inside of there and make a passive residual income inside of there. Whatever the end buyer wants to do. I really don't care personally. I kind of just let them handle it. But as long as I can find someone to buy this property, I am literally just selling the contract. And so now if assignments are illegal in your state, which assignment is basically, hey, here's a contract, pay me for it. And now what the other thing is a double closing. So this is where we are physically buying the property and selling it to someone for cash, which you can use the money out of your own pocket, pull it out and buy the property, but you can also just find private funding money for the transaction. You're literally you're owning this house for like an hour, and then you're flipping it over to the cash buyer at the end of the day, literally the same day you buy it, and it's all funded, and then you sell it, and then you make your money back. And then you pay whatever private money lender gave you the money, and you may have to sign a couple of contracts with an attorney. You pay for it out of whatever you make, whatnot. And that's basically, you pay them like a percentage of whatever you make, and then at the end of the day, you get to take home whatever. And what's nice about a double closing, even if you can do assignments in your state, double closing, nobody really knows how much you made on the deal, because when you're doing an assignment, everybody gets to see like the HUD statements and kind of your fee and whatnot. But when you're doing a double closing, all the cash buyer sees is that they're buying the property for a certain price, so they don't know how much you're making on the deal. And then now the seller side, all they see is that you're buying the property, so nobody sees what everybody's making, and you can kind of keep hush hush about exactly what's going on. That's up to you. But at the end of the day, you get to make all this money, and nobody really knows how much you made other than the title company, because they see what the person bought it for, and what you bought it for personally. So it really just depends. As far as other things inside of this business, really, as long as you're just being ethical, you're trying to stay within your contingencies, which usually we like to have like a 14-day inspection period, and it may differ inside of your state, but just about every state you can have an inspection period. And then on top of that, sometimes you can do like subject to partner's approval, which it really just depends on the seller. Whatever the seller agrees upon, you can utilize and put it inside of your contract. So usually I like to have like 2 or 3 contingencies just to keep my back safe if I want my earnest money back at the end of the day. And on top of that, as long as you're in the contingencies, the seller really has nothing to complain about, because they agreed upon these contingencies. But at the end of the day, I don't like to waste people's time. So what I like to do is try to get an answer immediately as to whether or not 100% I can pick up this deal. So what I do is I sign up the contract, and then usually within 2 or 3 days, I try to find a buyer. And if I can't find a buyer, then I just cancel the contract. So that way I'm not wasting the seller's time. I know 100% whether or not I can do a deal. I mean, maybe there's like the slightest chance where I could find a buyer if I kept holding on the contract and kept pushing out the date on and on, maybe re-signing in contingencies so that way I don't have to cancel and keep trying. But at the end of the day, you're wasting their time, and they have something to bitch and complain about if you just keep wasting their time. And we don't want them to have anything to complain about, so that way they really have nothing to go complain to the realtors commission for. So the only that is one of the biggest downsides where like the negativity comes upon wholesaling, is people just keep dragging these sellers along with them on them trying to find a buyer and never find one, and then they're just pissed off because they were so excited about selling this house, and then like you really didn't put in that much work or whatever, and you didn't build up the rapport, and now they're pissed off because you didn't buy the property from them. And so you want to make sure that you try to find a buyer as soon as possible to try to make it work. And so now there's also the ability to cancel the contract and renegotiate the price. I never renegotiate. Basically what I do is I just say I'm canceling the contract, and then I make them come to me with a better price, and if they don't, whatever, I'm going to move on to the next deal. I really don't need this deal. There's other deals out there. You kind of have to have this mentality in this business in order to get the best deal and make the most money on these houses. So what I usually like to do is just cancel the contract, just say, hey, the inspection didn't go as planned. I want my earnest money back. Can I cancel? And I'm going to cancel. I'm going to send in all the canceling documents over to the title company, and I'm going to send you an email and this is the email kind of finalizing the contract or whatever. Or I'm going to send you an email canceling the contract, finalizing it, everything. And then I just shut up. And then sometimes they're just like, oh, well, what do we have to do to make this work? I really need to sell this house. And then I'm just be like, well, I don't know. I just like keep pulling away. But at the end of the day, there really isn't any risk associated with this business as long as you are just staying within these guidelines in this video. So after you watch this video, if you've gotten to this point, you've watched everything, you've learned everything, you don't really need to worry about anything going wrong in your situation of jumping into this business and starting to wholesale. So quit complaining about it. You don't need to worry anymore. I've told you literally everything that you need to worry about. And there may be a few things here or there, but there's nothing that's going to stop you from doing business. As far as like LLCs go, or I don't know, LLC is the main one, like having a corporation, a limited liability company. You don't need those for doing your first couple deals. You really have nothing to lose. Maybe if you have $100,000 in the bank account, then maybe I'd get an LLC. But if you only have a couple $1,000s, you really have nothing to lose. If you have no money, then there really isn't a problem. The LLC is just to make sure that your capital that you make is pulled away from the business, and you can only be sued for the assets that are owned by the LLC. But I don't know 100% exactly how an LLC works. But that is the gist of it, and I let someone else run that stuff for me. I really don't like to worry about the legal stuff. I just worry about bringing money into the business, and then so that way I can grow the business and whatever business it may be as well. But anyways, at the end of the day, quit worrying about the risk. Go out there, take massive, imperfect action, and that's what brings deals. And so I think I'm going to make another video as to what the risks are if you don't jump into wholesaling as soon as possible and go out there taking action, just because I feel like people are missing out on a lot of income and the growth of their personal self, whatever the business, getting their life to the next level. So I want to kind of cover the topics inside there. So check out tomorrow's video. I think it'll be very interesting. And you guys can comment down below what you guys think of today's video. And if you guys have any crazy stories, or at the end of the day as well, if you feel like you've been held back by these risks, which I've just laid out everything in here for you, so that way you don't have to worry anymore. But anyways, if you guys like today's content, make sure you join the fam, join the gang, button, the subscribe button down below. Also, smash that like button, highly appreciated. And so like always, always, I am uploading every day. So I will see you guys all tomorrow on my channel. So peace.